shot score! Do it again, shot score! Do it again, skin into the ice, 1,000 miles an hour, go for right die in a nuclear war, shot score! Do it again, shot score! Do it again, skin into the ice, across the left view, pass it right back, and I'll put it in the net, shot score! Shot score! Shot score! Shot score!
Hi everybody, thank you for joining us here on this edition of Inside Hockey.tv alongside Inside Hockey Editor-in-Chief Kevin Greenstein. I'm your host Mackenzie Lebois. Now our topic of this segment is the Mike Comrie and Chris Campoli trade to the Ottawa Senators. Now the Islanders get Dean McCammon for the Sharks' first-round draft pick, and the Senators get Mike Comrie and Chris Campoli to their already struggling team. So how do you think that trade overall works out?
Well, you look at the Islanders and it's clear what they're trying to do here. They're trying to retool for the future. Comrie wasn't a big part of their plans, and they figured that they can parlay that first-round pick into maybe a talented forward, help them start the get the rebuilding process going more quickly, right? From the Senators' side, that's where the trade really makes sense. You look at Mike Comrie, he's a playmaking center who gives them a little bit of depth behind Jason Spezza. That's been a huge problem for the Senators. Over the course of the last couple of years, their scoring has been almost exclusively coming from the trio of Spezza, Alfredsson, and Heatley. And those guys play together almost constantly. So when you've got one line that's generating all of your scoring, you don't have any depth and it becomes very easy to check you. So the Senators need to diversify their scoring. Having Comrie there and Spezza at the same time means that the Senators can compile two talented scoring lines. That's going to make it a lot more difficult for other teams to neutralize their offense. Chris Campoli, good puck-moving defenseman. I think he's going to be a nice fit. I think he could play some on the quarterback and the power play for them. That's going to be a big deal, especially with Philippe Kuba showing himself to be a bit injury-prone. So, you know, without Philippe Kuba in the lineup, the Senators don't really have a quarterback. Chris Campoli gives them that.
Fit that role. Now, we talk about trade rumors so far, and you look at their three stalled, Alfredsson, Heatley, and Jason Spezza. Now, the three of them have been rumored to go at any time, trying to break up that three trio that they rely on all the time. So, do you think Mike Comrie could potentially replace one of those guys? On paper, it doesn't, seem like he could because of injuries and whatnot. But how do you feel that he's going to be as a starter in Ottawa if that's where they put him?
Yeah, I mean, Mike Comrie is a good playmaking center, but I think we can safely say that he was miscast in the role of first-line center with the Islanders. Mike Comrie's a good playmaker, is plagued by a lot of the same criticisms that faced Marc Savard before he finally found a good home in Boston. I like Mike Comrie as a player, but I like him slotted into that second-line center spot. And I think that the Senators would be wise to keep that in mind as they do any other roster reshuffling. Make sure that at the end of the day, Comrie is not slotted any higher than their second line. Then they're going to have a chance to be good if he's their second guy.
Now, Ottawa still gets to pick or keep their first-round draft pick, which is going to be high because they are so low in the standings. Do you think that they're going to bring in someone? You look at the probability of guys that come in that first round that can, alter a team. You look at Crosby, you look at Ovechkin, you look at Patrick Kane in Chicago. How do you think they're going to bring someone in to sort of transverse their team?
Well, that fourth overall pick, it's a lottery pick. So it's conceivable that you could be looking at the first overall pick. There's a young defenseman from Sweden, Hedman, who I think is going to be an excellent prospect. He could completely lead this defense. He could put them in a totally different place for the Senators. You look at Tavares, and he's another guy who could be an excellent first-line center for them. Perhaps you want to talk about moving Jason Spezza. Well, if you get Tavares, then you can actually justify moving Spezza at some point. So those are the kinds of things that they might be able to look at if they move up with that pick. You just never know with a lottery pick.
Well, speaking of Jason Spezza, so far in the season, there are a lot of rumors that he might possibly be coming to Boston. Now, with the addition of Mike Comrie, do you think that's a possibility?
Well, again, as long as the Senators are looking forward with regard to who is going to be their first-line center, we can say that this is a lost season for the Ottawa Senators. It's very unlikely that they're going to rebound from being the fourth worst team in the league to making the playoffs. There's a wide gap for them to bridge. I don't expect them to bridge it or even come close to. So as long as moving forward they've got a plan that isn't Mike Comrie as first-line center, then they should be okay. It's quite possible that they'll move Spezza in the right deal. What would they get back? It's hard to say, but I think that when you look at trading Jason Spezza, you probably need to look at getting a really good center back in the deal.
Now, it's sort of the same condition with the New York Islanders. You look at Dean McCammon,
Right.
Is he really going to transform the Islanders into a team after all the injuries they've had so far this season?
Well, the Islanders are a shipwreck right now. It's a very difficult situation there. Rick DiPietro's out for the season. Injuries have plagued them. Doug Waite's out now, and maybe they won't be able to trade him as a result of the injury. So the Islanders are definitely in a difficult spot. Dean McCammon, he'll provide some leadership for the youngsters in the locker room. He's a good kind of character guy to add. The real key for them clearly in this trade is that first-round pick and what they're able to do with it. So it really comes down to what they do with the draft pick.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of InsideHockey.tv. We hope to see you right back here at Studio 73 next time.